Story 1. We know the universe is vast and that life arose at least once. So life may have arisen elsewhere. The forms it takes may be more like bacteria or insects than humanoid aliens that speak to us. Story 2. Absolutely. It is almost absurd to think we are so special that we are the only form of life in an incomprehensibly large, ancient universe. Story 3. I believe there are many intelligent aliens, almost incomprehensibly far away from us. I do not believe any are on Earth. Story 4. Alien life is probabilistically likely, but we cannot know what it would look like. Everything we understand about convergent evolution and how life arises depends on Earth's environment from its origin to the present. Intelligent aliens visiting Earth seems more like fantasy than a real possibility. Traveling through space is extremely expensive. Any civilization with the resources to invade another world would not need to do so, because it would already have abundant resources. I dislike the idea of actively searching for life. If there is alien intelligence other than just listening to our radio output, they would not need to stage a Hollywood-style invasion to exterminate us. They could send automated spacecraft to our solar system that arrive decades later, settle on a distant body such as Pluto, and then launch weapons to swarm and destroy life on Earth. Why worry? Because we could do the same with sufficient investment. Intelligent alien life, if hostile, would be an existential threat. Story 5. Do I believe that intelligent life exists somewhere in the universe? Yes. Do I believe that Earth has been visited by little green men in flying saucers who crash-landed in Roswell, New Mexico? Absolutely not. Story 6. Yes, the universe is massive. Look at how many strange species live on this one planet, Earth. Story 7. Our galaxy contains over 100 billion stars. There are hundreds of billions of galaxies in the universe, each containing hundreds of billions of stars. Many of these stars are orbited by planets. I believe at least one of those planets harbors intelligent life. Story 8. I do, and I feel it would be extremely ignorant to think we are the only life form in the entire universe. Story 9. Yes. Simply because it makes sense. There is so much of the universe we have not explored. How could there not be alien life out there? Story 10. I think it is reasonable to believe that some form of alien life exists somewhere in the universe, given how vast it is and how many planets could potentially support life. On the other hand, I am skeptical that aliens have visited Earth, since there is no conclusive evidence to support that. Story 11. I believe in extraterrestrial life as a theory. I think it is highly unlikely that we are completely alone, but I also acknowledge that extraterrestrial life could be microbial. Story 12. Is there intelligent life in the incredible vastness of the universe? Yes, absolutely. The math alone suggests there is intelligent life somewhere. Life that has developed technology to visit our tiny corner of the universe. No, the distance between stars is still far too great for even the nearest aliens to make that journey. It takes light from the Sunday, April 3rd years to reach Alpha Centauri, the next nearest star system. If there were aliens capable of traveling at the speed of light living there, that would still be an 8.6-year round trip just to come and say hi. And that assumes they even know we exist and would want to. Not impossible, but it seems unlikely to me. Story 13. Yes. It is arrogant and idiotic to assume that we are the only intelligent species out there. We are likely the equivalent of dust to other civilizations. Story 14. Yes. Whether or not they have visited Earth is a completely separate question. Story 15. Technically, no. I do not believe in extraterrestrials. I believe it is highly likely that life exists beyond Earth. Story 16. All reports of seeing aliens on Earth are not credible. Is human civilization unique in the universe? Probably not. This raises a Drake equation-like question. I think there is a fairly simple answer already seen on a smaller scale on Earth. Once a civilization becomes technologically advanced, it will expand. At minimum, von Neumann probes would spread. A galaxy is traversable on geologically modest timescales. Give it 1,000,000 years and our presence could be on every planet in the galaxy. This mirrors what we see on Earth, humans spreading everywhere. The explanation for why there are no other civilized species is straightforward. We were first, and others may never get a chance. There will be no planet of the apes. Why not the same outcome on a galactic scale? The first mover takes it all, and so far it looks like it will be us. You might ask, the universe is 14 billion years old. Is that not enough time for many civilizations? Not necessarily, and 14 billion years is not especially old. Star formation is expected to continue for 100 trillion years. In that context, the universe is very young. If a random civilization were to appear at a random moment in the lifetime of the universe, one might expect the universe to be trillions of years old, but it is not. It is only billions of years old. So perhaps it is not random at all. First movers take everything, and there will be no latecomers trillions of years from now. Story 17. Spend any amount of time on the Reddit unidentified flying objects community, and you will find that the government already accepts their existence and is trying to find a non-disruptive method to disclose that information. Story 18. On other planets? Yes. Visiting Earth is highly unlikely. Story 19. Yes. The universe is so mind-numbingly large and strange that it is ridiculous to believe we are the only life forms in it. Story 20. I find it hard to believe that, given the vast expanse of the universe, Earth is the only place where life can exist. Story 21. I used to, and I still hope that they are out there, but we have so many other problems in this world that I don't even care about them anymore. Story 22. Do they exist? Without a doubt, yes. Would they come here? Fuck no. Why would a species capable of interstellar travel come to this backwater planet? We're not even a Type 1 civilization yet. Story 23. We landed on the moon as an alien form of life. I believe we are aliens. Our probes landed on Mars. Story 24. I enjoy depictions of aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, unicorns, magic, alternate universes, multiverses, and other supernatural elements in fictional media. But as a science lover, I would like to see evidence. Story 25. Based purely on science and statistics, yes. Far more believable than Jesus returning to save a bigot who supports Make America Great Again. Story 26. The chances that only Earth developed the specific conditions for life are very low. Life exists on other worlds as well. Is life like humans? That depends. Probably not, but maybe. Are we the only ones in the universe? I do not think so. Story 27. I believe there must be other forms of life elsewhere. It is arrogant to think we are the only ones in the entire universe. Story 28. I believe it is highly likely they exist. The chemical processes that led to life on Earth are occurring throughout the universe. Earth is not unique. Story 29. I believe there are aliens somewhere. There is too much in the universe and too many worlds similar to ours for there not to be any. I do not believe they are here or capable of traveling across hundreds of light years. Story 30. I do. Either they exist, have existed, or will exist in the future. Recent findings on Mars suggest there may have been organic life there, and that is just in our own backyard. I am not talking about a superior race that has mastered spacetime. I mean any form of organic life. I believe life flourishes throughout the universe, but we do not know that for sure yet. Story 31. Yes, but I do not believe they have visited us. Based on our current state of knowledge, this would be the default assumption. Story 32. We humans are self-centered and want to be the only ones. There are an infinite number of universes and galaxies that we will never see. There is no way our planet, out of the infinite number that exist, can be the only one to contain what we call life. Story 33. Yes, I saw an unidentified flying object once in northern Wisconsin. Then cell phones did not work, and the car did not start until a day later. Crazy stuff. Story 34. I think the fact that we are here proves that it is possible for life to evolve on other planets given the correct conditions. The universe is so vast that I have a hard time believing that it has only ever happened once. There is an argument against alien life that states the conjunction of conditions and circumstances that led to our existence was so incredibly unlikely that the probability of it happening twice is equally unlikely, but I do not buy it. We are not alone. The idea that we could be alone is terrifying. It is more likely that we have not encountered life outside our planet, if that is true, because we are somewhat alone in the middle of a massive void in the universe. Looking at you, United States government, the practical realities of space travel may help to explain why we have not had contact with an intelligent alien species. Perhaps it is just as hard for them as it is for us. Story 35. Yes. At the same time, who knows? The universe is incredibly vast, and there is no way we are the only ones out there. Story 36. Yes, I do. He's my neighbor. He's a great guy and I like him. He's cool. Story 37. Honestly, I do not think there is much outside the firmament. Story 38. Yes. I find it hard to believe we are the only planet in the universe that has evolved life with comparable intelligence and capability. I think anyone who says they do not believe extraterrestrials can possibly exist is narrow-minded at best. Do I care? Not really, until there is indisputable physical evidence with world-changing ramifications. All the unidentified flying object footage and recent discussion are largely moot because we are already in the age of artificial intelligence and deepfakes. Video evidence is no longer reliable. Story 39. If we are here and alive, built from the ingredients found in our solar system, the chances are high that there are other life forms. The questions are, where are they and when? But I am sure they look nothing like we expect. Story 40. We are descendants of criminal aliens who were deposited on this planet to rid their society of unacceptable members. Story 41. Thinking we are the only ingredient in this almost boundless pot of soup that has been boiling for an ungodly amount of time is peak hubris. Even our own galaxy, which is enormous, almost certainly harbors other forms of intelligent life and is a negligible part of the known universe. It is like a goldfish in a small bowl contemplating whether there is other sea life out there. Story 42. There are an estimated 3.2 times 10 to the 23rd power planets in the observable universe. That number is beyond comprehension. Given that scale, it is essentially a mathematical certainty that life has arisen elsewhere and that intelligent civilizations have formed, risen, and fallen countless times. It is highly likely that multiple alien civilizations exist right now. However, it is also almost certain that we will never encounter them. The universe is simply too large, and biological life, as we know, it does not lend itself to interstellar travel. The longest-lived animals on Earth, such as sharks and tortoises, still live only on the order of hundreds of years. Traveling between stars would take tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of years. The laws of physics prevent matter from reaching the speed of light. Even if we developed propulsion and energy sources that accelerated a spacecraft to a significant fraction of light speed, all but our nearest neighboring stars would still require many human lifetimes to reach. Sustained acceleration is another issue. Biological life is not compatible with extreme, prolonged acceleration. Unless we develop reliable suspended animation, it is unlikely we will leave our own star system. It is also difficult to recruit people willing to spend their lives aboard a spacecraft and to require their descendants to live their entire lives there. Other intelligent species would face the same constraints. It is extremely likely, on the order of 99.9999%, that every intelligent species will be confined to its home star system. I believe intelligent aliens exist or have existed before us, but I do not think we will ever discover them. I think humanity will become extinct without ever making contact with alien life. Story 43. They absolutely must exist. We exist. The universe is unimaginably vast. Therefore, life must have arisen elsewhere. If God exists, he would not have created the entire universe for a single planet with life, especially not placing it in an obscure location. He would have created many different things. If God does not exist, life arose by chance. Considering the size and age of the universe, that would likely have occurred more than once. Whether God exists or not, life must exist elsewhere. Story 44. There is nothing observable that even implies they exist. Even belief in a deity usually sprouts from some observable phenomenon. Nothing like this associated with extraterrestrial life has much credibility. Story 45. Yes, because the universe is far too vast for us to be the only life forms. Story 46. Yes and no. I think they have been and will be equivalent to the life we have had on Earth, but it is mathematically impossible for them to coexist with us. Story 47. Do I believe in aliens? Sure. It is improbable we are the only sentient life in this vast universe. Do I believe that we have ever been visited? Absolutely not. The faster-than-light drive is science fiction. We have known since the dawn of time that heavier-than-air flight is possible because birds and insects all around us fly. We had to figure out how to make it happen. We knew supersonic flight was possible with the invention of black powder and again had to figure out how to make it happen. There is nothing in nature that travels faster than light. The Alcubierre drive is mathematically possible, but there is currently no way to produce the energy required. Story 48. Absolutely. It would be crazy not to, in my opinion. Given the sheer size of the universe, why would Earth be the only place with life? Story 49. I think microbial life outside Earth is almost a given. There are many thousands of planets we already know of, and that is only a tiny proportion of this galaxy. I think it is highly likely, almost to the point of certainty, that some form of life exists outside Earth. Intelligent, communicative life in this galaxy is probably unlikely. The universe is vast, and statistically, if you make the numbers large enough, the likelihood approaches near certainty. Will we ever come in contact with such life? I do not think so. Microbial life maybe, but not in our lifetime. Story 50. No, I used to, but the abduction and unidentified flying object sighting stories sound so outlandish to me as an adult. Story 51. There is evidence of ancient life on Mars. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration recently published a paper after a year of study and eliminating other possibilities. What was found appears to be only consistent with life. If life evolved multiple times just in our solar system, it is probably common wherever there is water. Multicellular life is likely much rarer, and intelligent life even rarer than that, but extraterrestrial life almost certainly exists. Story 52. Yes, because it is comforting to know there are aliens out there who believe in me too. Story 53. I think it would be extremely feckless, small-minded, and arrogant to believe we are the only form of life in the vastness of the universe. No, that is more unbelievable than the existence of aliens. Story 54. Do I believe there is life on other planets in the universe? Yes. Do I believe there is intelligent life elsewhere? Yes. People have a hard time wrapping their minds around just how many galaxies, stars, and planets there are. Whatever number you are thinking, it is far smaller than the actual number. By probability alone, the number of planets in habitable zones with the right conditions for abiogenesis is at least in the billions. Do I believe they are probing the anuses of lonely rednecks? No, I do not. Do I believe there is intelligent life on this planet? That is debatable. We are a species that refuses to save ourselves from the destruction we have wrought simply because it is not financially profitable. That is not an intelligent species. Story 55. It would be conceited to think we are everything. Humans have repeatedly been proven wrong in their thinking. People once believed the sun revolved around the earth. They believed the planets moved in perfect circles. They believed we were the center of the universe. We are not even the center of our own galaxy. Story 56. I absolutely believe in aliens, but I do not believe they have visited Earth. Story 57. I am of the mindset that, because life exists on Earth, it likely exists elsewhere. If life did not exist on Earth, it might exist elsewhere, but that would be unlikely, and we would not be here to discuss it. Story 58. I believe extraterrestrial life exists. It seems foolish not to assume that other intelligent or sentient beings exist, or at least once existed, somewhere else in the universe. The universe is too vast and full of possibilities. However, I do not believe, and probably cannot be convinced, that life from another planet has traveled to and visited Earth or our solar system, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Story 59. Look at all of those stars. Are you telling me that this is it? Story 60. It depends on what kind of alien life we are talking about. Microbial life? Absolutely. Large life forms? Probably. Highly intelligent life? Maybe. If the universe were teeming with intelligent life, we should have detected it by now. What we have is a spooky silence. Story 61. According to the Book of Enoch, aliens are demons who were cast into our world and impregnated women, from whom the giants were born. Story 62. Do I think they have ever been here? No. Do I think they are out there? Probably. Do I think we will ever make contact? No. Story 63. Yes. It is statistically likely that life exists elsewhere in the universe, so it is more reasonable to believe that alien life exists than not. However, that comes with a few caveats. The overwhelming majority of life in the universe would be unicellular organisms like bacteria. I would go so far as to say that life in the universe is common, but it is mostly bacterial. Some people might think the existence of that kind of alien life is somehow less important or valuable than the life forms they imagine when they think of aliens, but that is not the case. Other microorganisms would be the next most common form of life. There would be uncommon planets that harbor plant life, rare planets that harbor both plant life and animal life, and the absolute rarest would be planets that harbor sapient life. Planets or astronomical bodies with unicellular life would be fairly far apart from each other, but there is a real chance that multiple bodies in a solar system could have unicellular life, some from a single origin and some from separate origins. Recently, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration announced that analysis of Martian rock samples found the best potential biosignatures so far. They are only potential biosignatures, but if unicellular life evolved on Mars, it would stand to reason that some solar systems have multiple bodies harboring unicellular life. Planets with plants and animals would likely be extremely far apart. You might occasionally find two such planets within a dozen or so light years of each other. There would also be extremely rare cases where two planets with such life inhabit the same solar system, but I would guess there would be very few of those in any given galaxy. The rarity of sapient animal life would suggest that planets with such life are spread out over such vast distances that sapient species would rarely have the chance to discover the existence of other sapient species. Some might get lucky and advance technologically enough to build massive telescopes and observe biosignatures that suggest the existence of other sapient technologically advanced species. There would be extremely rare cases where two sapient species inhabit planets within a few dozen light years of each other. I would assume that the number of sapient species living close enough to communicate with each other, let alone travel to each other's home planets, would be so low that there might be only one or fewer such cases in any given galaxy. So yes, I believe that alien life exists. I do not believe that any sapient alien species exists in our immediate stellar neighborhood. We can speculate about sapient alien species far more technologically advanced than we are, but it is more reasonable to assume that other sapient alien species are only as technologically advanced as humanity currently is. Every other species would face the same restrictions as we do: energy, resource management, and the same laws of physics. I also believe that most other sapient animal species in the universe would be so distant from other life-bearing worlds that their cultures would have the same questions about whether they are alone in the universe as we do. They probably tell stories about aliens similar to our science fiction. They probably have conspiracy theorists who claim their planet has already been visited by aliens or that their rulers are covering up the existence of alien life. Those species might also have public internet-like forums where someone posts a question such as, "Do you believe in aliens, and why or why not?" And they sit around debating these points to spark curiosity and entertain themselves when they are bored on the toilet or on lunch break. Story 64. I do. I think it is arrogant to believe that, in the vast expanse of the universe, this one planet is the only one capable of sustaining life. However, I sincerely doubt humanity will ever encounter them. Story 65. We are all aliens in a sense because we live on a planet terraformed for us. Story 66. There is too much weird stuff out there for it not to exist. Story 67. Not the aliens that pop culture makes us believe exist, like little green men. Bacteria, however, definitely do exist. Story 68. The universe is too big for Earth to be the only planet with life. Story 69. Yes, because of space and time. I'm open to being wrong, but there must be other molecules that know themselves. Story 70. Given how expansive the universe is, there must be other life. However, no life support system would allow interplanetary travel for aliens to meet. Story 71. On Earth, all multicellular life is eukaryotic and evolved from mitochondrial endosymbiosis, when a single proto-eukaryote cell engulfed an alpha proteobacterium. This event occurred only once in Earth history and within one cell. It was exceptionally rare. The question is, how rare was it? Once in 4 billion years in our galaxy, once in 100 billion years in our local group, once in 1 billion years in the whole universe. We do not know how rare and unlikely such an event was. We have a sample size of 1. So maybe our galaxy is teeming with single-celled life but has never had a mitochondrial endosymbiosis-like event to kickstart multicellular life anywhere but on Earth. But who knows? References. Lane, Nick. The Vital Question. Why is life the way it is? London. Profile Books, 2015. Story 72. Bacteria may have appeared early. They started quickly, but multicellular life took over a billion years, about 1/13 of the age of the universe. After that, natural selection would still have to favor advanced intelligence, which is unlikely. Story 73. I do because the alternative seems impossible. The same conditions are likely occurring all over the universe, and it is not like anything particularly special happened here that caused life to appear. I think it is just what happens when you mix all the ingredients together and let them simmer long enough. Story 74. I believe there is life elsewhere because the universe is vast and the materials from which life can be built are common, although the conditions may not be. I do not, however, believe that aliens are visiting us. I appreciate how little we understand about our world and think that many alien or unidentified flying object sightings have scientific and local explanations that have not yet been discovered. Story 75. The universe is too big to assume we are alone, especially since we have found the building blocks of life in many places beyond Earth that we have explored. When you add ancient evidence and modern sightings, there must be something to it. Story 76. Given the vast size of the universe, I think it is more likely that there is life elsewhere than just on our planet. However, I do not believe we have had any kind of contact for that reason. Story 77. Many ancient artifacts from around the world depict flying objects with beings inside them. Never rule out interdimensional beings or brief glimpses of future events. Story 78. I do. I do not see how we are the only instance of intelligent life in the whole universe. Story 79. I do not believe in aliens in the sense of unidentified flying objects and abductions. I do not think aliens walk among us. However, I think it is arrogant to assume we are the only life in the universe. There are billions of planets in our galaxy alone and billions of galaxies. How could you not think there is other life out there somewhere? Story 80. I am not referring to the classic movie Alien that abducts people and creates crop circles. I believe it is statistically impossible for us to be alone in the universe. Story 81. If our sun were the size of a grain of sand, the entire observable universe would be roughly the size of a house. I think it is very likely that life is not limited to bacteria and insects. Story 82. Two possibilities exist. Either we are alone in the universe or we are not. Both are equally terrifying. Arthur C. Clarke. Story 83. Of course, alien life forms exist. The question is whether sapient life forms exist. I think they do, but not here and now, and probably about 100 years beyond our technological level. Also, as with civilizations on Earth, technology advances unevenly. Aliens might be 1,000 years more advanced in poetry yet struggle with computation. Or we might excel at Olympic sports while they are physically weaker, but their children solve differential equations in their heads in kindergarten. The wetware is the only difference. Story 84. Yes, it's foolish to think we're all alone in this great universe. Story 85. Statistically, it is impossible for Earth to be the only planet with life. At least one other planet currently has life, and hundreds of thousands had life in the past. Story 86. Of course I do. Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, and Danielle Smith. Any questions? Story 87. Intelligent life? No, I don't think so. Not unless faster-than-light travel is possible. If faster-than-light travel is not possible, then all life is doomed to die with its solar system. Maybe they figure out how to suspend life or live indefinitely in space. Then it becomes a matter of being able to obtain resources from uninhabitable planets and moons, which is not easy. I think intelligent life has previously existed. The odds of intelligent life existing at the same time as we do are very slim. Life on Earth has existed for only a brief instant in the context of the universe's lifespan. Story 88. Yes, I believe the little fuckers are out there, and I wish they'd descend among us. We don't know the size of the entire universe. Could be infinite. Why would Earth be the only inhabited spinning orb? I want to smoke a joint with one of the green goobers and get its opinion on our planet's population and its leaders. Story 89. Statistically, there is other life in the universe. I doubt they are here watching us. Story 90. I believe that some form of cellular life exists because I have seen how vast the universe is. Story 91. Alien life? Yes. Martians? No. The universe is big enough that only human ego would insist that Earth is the only planet with life. However, the conditions needed for life as we understand it do not exist elsewhere in our solar system. Story 92. Yes, but we are too stupid to even understand what a higher intelligence is. We are not that special. We're just ants. Story 93. I think they do not know we exist, or we have not been deemed worthy of contact. I cannot imagine how much they will hate the species that gives humans faster-than-light travel. We will be a scourge. Story 94. No, as far as visiting Earth is concerned. In the cosmos, it stands to reason that another planet exists somewhere that supports some form of life. Story 95. I think there is other life in the universe. I do not believe they have been here, because despite all the witness testimony, there has never been a single piece of convincing physical evidence. The idea that this has been going on for 80 years and we have found nothing beggars belief. Story 96. Nah, I don't believe in anything anymore. There is no point if everything is real. Aliens are real regardless of whether they exist within this constructive time or within the moments we choose to partition ourselves. We already have them here in two-dimensional media. That alone is enough for me to know they exist, because if they didn't exist, people wouldn't have been able to imagine them and bring them to us in a form we can comprehend. If you can imagine it, it exists. Story 97. Yes. The statistical data we can confirm makes it highly probable, although we are not sure what form it would take. I hope they believe in me too. I am rooting for them. Story 98. I am sure there is life out there. I do not think we as a species will ever encounter it. Story 99. It is statistically likely that there is alien life somewhere besides Earth. Knowing what form it would take or whether we will ever see it might be just as unlikely, but that is enough for me to believe something is out there. Story 100. Given the scale of the universe, it seems like a near certainty to me. Do I believe in little gray men abducting a stray cow in Kansas, crashing in Roswell, New Mexico, and subjecting someone to invasive probes? Not so much. Story 101. Yes, probability and mathematics support this idea. I bet they look like bugs. Story 102. Yes, the odds of life existing elsewhere are fairly high, but the idea that they are superintelligent, advanced creatures who built the pyramids is nonsense. It is more likely to be simple life, such as single-celled or small organisms. Story 103. Do I believe they exist? Yes. Do I believe they visit Earth? No. Space is so vast. Story 104. Of course, I believe in aliens. Some of the stuff that goes on in this country cannot be done by human beings. Do not get me started on what happens when cars are involved. Story 105. Yes. Statistically speaking, it is almost impossible that, given how vast the universe is, we are the only planet with life. I doubt aliens look like little green men, but who knows? I am surprised we have not had any contact yet. Story 106. I have never been able to believe in little green men on another planet. Story 107. No, I think we live in a particular period of time and it is only us here. There are probably more time periods than there are stars. Story 108. To someone who lives in another part of the universe, we are the aliens. So yes, I believe. Story 109. Not intelligent life. Bacteria are the default state of life for billions of years. It is highly unlikely there is another Earth with evolved life on it. It is even less likely that such life could or would travel 100 billion light-years to reach us. Story 110. I don't know what's scarier. The fact that we are all alone or the fact that we are not. Story 111. You are an alien asking whether extraterrestrial life exists. If it happened here, it either was, is, or will be elsewhere. Story 112. I think it is naive to assume we are the only beings creating or using civilization. If we exist, we should be proof that life exists elsewhere in the universe. The universe is so vast that our minds cannot fathom just how expansive it is. Your idea of infinity? Yes, it is bigger than that. Story 113. For a whole week, Area 51 and other research site workers told Congress that aliens are real, that most aliens already look human, and that we are currently working with people from a planet called Quantania, which is 45 light-years away. It takes them 45 minutes to get here. Then Representative Jim Jordan sarcastically said the Democrats had wasted a week talking about aliens. Story 114. I believe something is happening, though I haven't decided what. If there are aliens, it makes sense that there would be different types, temperaments, and stages of advancement. There is too much out there to believe nothing is happening. Story 115. I have seen far too much crazy content on social media to believe those posts were entirely created by humans or artificial intelligence. Story 116. Of course, I believe in the possibility of aliens. Why? It is more plausible than a sky daddy who is angry at everyone if they do not go to church. Story 117. I do not believe in them as they exist in our culture, but I do believe that life exists elsewhere in the universe. Story 118. It beggars belief that in all the vastness of the cosmos life would have originated only once, here. The universe is so unimaginably vast that signs of life on another world could elude our ability to detect them, and we have been searching for it for only a blink of an eye. Recent evidence from Mars suggests probable microbial life once existed there. If life arose on two worlds within a single star system, it likely has arisen on countless other planets billions of times. Perhaps few of those worlds developed intelligence and technology, but it is not out of the realm of possibility. Story 119. Do aliens exist? Statistically, very likely. Have aliens visited Earth? No. Story 120. Yes. It would be extremely bad for us if they find and reach us. Story 121. Yes, God is an alien. Once you realize that, the story of Mary takes on a whole new dimension. Story 122. Mathematically, there is almost zero chance we are the only life forms out there. Whether any of us will be able to make contact with them is another question. Story 123. Yes, but not like in the movies. I am very confident there is life on other planets. However, that life would have followed a very different evolutionary path, so the odds that it would resemble us are extremely low. Story 124. I am sure there is intelligent life out there somewhere, but humans will never make contact. The odds of another civilization being at the same point in evolution are virtually zero. There may be civilizations thousands of years behind us or thousands of years ahead of us, but none exactly equal to us. Story 125. Aliens are real. Other civilizations exist, but space is so vast that we will never encounter each other because we will never leave our solar system. Story 126. If there are no aliens out there, it would be an awful waste of space. Story 127. Yes, the burst in technology came from somewhere else, I feel. Story 128. I don't think there are little green men with big heads and large green eyes, laughing out loud, but I do believe there are other life forms. It would be naive to think there is no life on other planets if there is life on Earth. Story 129. There is a good chance that life exists outside of Earth. There is a pretty decent chance that it is multicellular. The chance that it is humanoid is very low. The chance that they visited Earth in unidentified flying objects is essentially zero. Story 130. I do not disbelieve. Given the vastness of the universe, the possibility exists. There have been reports of microorganisms on other planets, or at least evidence suggesting microbial life. Do I believe in little green men or tentacled monsters? Not really, but who knows? All I know is that any of them advanced enough to reach Earth would turn around and go home. Story 131. It depends on what you mean by aliens. I believe there is life elsewhere in the universe, possibly not in the Milky Way but in another universe. However, I do not believe in the aliens from movies that come to Earth in spaceships and beam people up. Story 132. There is no proof. I do not believe in 800-foot flying jellyfish either. Story 133. I prefer to believe they are real. The possibility that we are completely alone in all the galaxies scares me. Story 134. Statistically, it is plausible. There is a vast amount of space, and life arose at least once, so there is no reason it could not have arisen more than once. The real question is whether we would recognize it. If life were sufficiently different from us and from what we know, would we even recognize it as life? I do not believe in grays or in alien mythology. I have never seen convincing evidence that we have been visited or that interstellar beings exist. Throughout Earth's history, we are the only species to have left the planet, and only barely. Why assume other planets have not followed similar trajectories? Maybe we are simply the most intelligent species currently, or at least comparable to others. Story 135. Yes. If we humans, despite our stupidity, can do it, then others must have been able to as well. The moment we left Earth's atmosphere is when everyone should have started believing. Story 136. The notion that we are alone in the universe is impossible. Story 137. If 1 in 1,000 stars has a habitable planet, and 1 in 1,000 of those planets has life, and 1 in 1,000 of those life-bearing planets develops intelligence, and 1 in 1,000 of those civilizations exists right now, then we would probably be alone. In our galaxy at the moment. However, there are more than 1 trillion galaxies in the observable universe, so there could be billions or trillions of intelligent life forms existing right now, but we are unlikely to contact or interact with them before we or they go extinct. Story 138. Born in 1980, I stand between the older view that there is no life elsewhere in space and the newer view that life may exist elsewhere. I choose the latter. I think intelligent life is possible. If an intelligent species has developed space travel, I wonder why we have not encountered alien diplomacy or scientific missions. If not, there is no mystery. I am a dreamer and hope there are spacefaring civilizations that are universalist and interested in constructive exchanges. Story 139. Everyone here is talking about how likely it is, but no one mentions the thousands of cases of people seeing, being taken aboard, or talking to entities that explicitly claim to be from other planets. On the surface, you can read about the likes of Betty and Barney Hill or Travis Walton, but once you put effort into investigating the phenomenon, there are many more instances of multiple people experiencing aliens firsthand with corroborating accounts. Take the Phoenix Lights, for example. Do your homework on alien encounters before hedging your bets on whether or not they exist. They do, and the amount of evidence is overwhelming. Story 140. I am not a nut. I believe most, if not all, evidence of aliens and unidentified flying objects is fake. Yet I refuse to believe we are the only intelligent species in the universe. What are the chances? Story 141. Call them aliens, demons, angels, gods, or devils, but there is definitely something here with us, and they have been here a very long time. Story 142. Yes. I think it is arrogant to assume we are the only life in the entire universe. Story 143. Is there life in the universe? Absolutely. At the very least, microbial life exists somewhere. The universe is vast and very old, so intelligent life is possible but less likely to overlap us in time. Intelligence on Earth has existed for only a tiny fraction of that span. Some worlds may have had intelligent life that died out millions of years ago, and others may now host simple organisms that will evolve intelligence in the future. I do not believe spacefaring aliens have visited Earth. Story 144. There must be somebody out there, but we will never meet them because of the distances involved. I do not believe that they have been here. Story 145. I think it is pretty dumb to think we are the only life in the universe considering its scale. It is not a matter of believing that aliens exist, but whether we will ever meet another species. It is theorized that the universe is so large that somewhere there is an exact copy of us doing the exact same things. Story 146. In the 15 years since everyone started carrying high-definition cameras in their pockets, I have decided that one of the following is real and the rest are made up. Aliens, police violence against minorities, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster. That said, our universe is massive, and we are becoming aware of planets many light years away that are suited to host life, so it would not surprise me at all if we were not the only ones in the universe. In fact, given the scale of the universe, I would guess other intelligences have evolved, but who knows? Too long. Did not read. Aliens probably exist, but I think our current idea of aliens boils down to drunken people from New Mexico and popular culture and science fiction. Story 147. You cannot convince me that we are the only planet with life when there are billions of other solar systems. We are not special. Story 148. Yes, I believe in aliens because it makes sense logically. Story 149. Knowing the scale of the universe, it is strange not to believe in alien life. Story 150. Yes, I reject the belief that we are the only partially intelligent species in the universe given its size. Mathematically and logically, it makes sense that living organisms exist beyond our planet. I am unsure whether they are intelligent. Perhaps they are very intelligent, which could explain why they have not visited us. Story 151. It is hard to reach a 50-50 answer here. Is it possible? Yes, very likely, but I have no evidence. If we talk about aliens as any form of life, it becomes more likely, but your use of the word aliens leaves it open to interpretation. One might ask why they have not come. Because they do not need to. Interstellar travel is expensive in terms of energy, and it is not as if we have the only source of iron in the universe. We are not unique, so there is no reason for them to come here. Story 152. It depends on what you mean. Do I believe that we have been visited by beings from other worlds? No. Do I believe that in the entire universe we are the only self-aware life forms? Not at all. Yes, extraterrestrial life exists, but we will likely never meet it. Distance and the speed of light are not on our side. Story 153. As far as I am concerned, we are just a bunch of alien monkeys who evolved into what we are now. The idea that there is no life somewhere else is silly. Story 154. The universe is infinite. Try wrapping your mind around that. Story 155. I think they are hiding in the bodies of our billionaires. Story 156. Yes, and they were here long before we were. They have been guiding and manipulating us for millennia. Story 157. Given the vastness of the universe, the existence of extraterrestrial life is a near statistical certainty. That same immensity makes the likelihood that they have visited Earth extremely low. Story 158. I believe humans are the aliens. We're not supposed to be here. Story 159. I am a Muslim and believe there are creatures other than humans in this world, including jinn, devils, and angels. Story 160. I would say there are millions of them in the United States alone. Many come from Mexico, but extraterrestrials are a different story. Story 161. Yes, I believe in aliens. Trump is deporting all of them. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.